For centuries, the Vikings have been portrayed as bloodthirsty raiders, men who came from the sea, burned villages and vanished like ghosts. But who were they really? What drove them to sail across the world? And how did they leave their mark on history? The Vikings weren't a single people or kingdom. They were seafarers from the cold lands of Scandinavia, modern-day Norway, Sweden and Denmark. They lived in a harsh world where survival depended on skill, strength and the ability to adapt. Though we often imagine Vikings as warriors, most of them were farmers, fishermen and traders. They lived in small communities ruled by local chieftains and guided by Norse traditions. They built strong families and followed a code of honor. Loyalty, bravery and the strength to endure hardship were at the core of their way of life. The secret to Viking power wasn't just their strength, it was their ships. Long, sleek and built for speed, Viking longships could navigate both the open sea and shallow rivers, allowing them to strike deep into enemy territory. These ships weren't just tools of war, they were symbols of status. A great leader was judged by the size of his fleet, and only the best warriors earned a place aboard. To their enemies, these ships were a sign of doom. When a Viking sail appeared on the horizon, it was already too late. The Viking Age began in blood and fire. In 793 AD, a terrifying event shook Europe, the brutal raid on Lindisfarne, an island monastery off the coast of England. The world was stunned. Who were these warriors from the north, and why did they attack? For the Vikings, monasteries were an easy target. They were rich, filled with treasure, and poorly defended. But was it just greed? Some historians believe the raids were a response to overpopulation and political struggles back home. Others say it was revenge against Christian rulers who had tried to spread their faith into the pagan north. Despite their reputation as raiders, the Vikings had a complex and organized society. At the heart of every Viking community was the Thing, a governing assembly where free men gathered to settle disputes and make laws. Unlike many medieval societies, Vikings had a surprisingly advanced legal system. Punishments ranged from fines to exile, and in extreme cases, blood feuds. And Viking women? They had more rights than most women in Europe at the time. They could own land, run businesses, and even divorce their husbands if they were mistreated. Perhaps the greatest Viking legacy wasn't war, but exploration. They weren't just raiders, they were discoverers. By the late 9th century they had reached Iceland, then Greenland, and in the year 1000 the Viking explorer Leif Erikson set foot in a mysterious new land, Vinland. Today we call it North America. 500 years before Columbus, the Vikings became the first Europeans to reach the New World. But why did they leave? Harsh conditions, battles with local tribes, and the sheer difficulty of survival forced them to abandon Vinland, leaving behind only whispers of their presence. By the 11th century, the Viking Age was coming to an end. Stronger European kingdoms began to fight back. The spread of Christianity changed Viking beliefs, and as they settled in lands they once raided, they became part of the very societies they had once attacked. The once feared warriors of the north were no longer outsiders. They were lords, kings, and citizens of a changing world. The Viking Age may be over, but their legacy is everywhere. In the languages we speak, in the myths we tell, and even in the blood of their descendants. The Vikings' legends never die. Like, subscribe and stay legendary.